So, as the title of this video would suggest, this is my first Ibanez that I've ever owned. I've played a couple here and there. I've never really been much for the style of them traditionally, or in the past I should say. And the really sort of thin neck is not exactly my taste. But I had been considering getting something with a trem because I have not had anything with a trem for like a couple years now, and it seems like it's been kind of overdue just to have something that I can use with a whammy. So I've been kind of looking here and there as to, you know, really something that might be interesting, like the usual players like Schecter, LTD, but I've already had those brands before. So last weekend I was basically just browsing Sweetwater and I came across this one, which is the Sweetwater demo of the Ibanez JEM Jr. So this is not the full-blown, you know, super expensive one or $1,800 one. This is like a $500 guitar, which even for that, I had no earthly idea that these were so affordable. And especially with the demo model, this was like $450. I had to jump on it. It's essentially a new guitar, warranted, that has tons of features for $450. I mean, that's pretty crazy. I've had kind of this subconscious rule to myself that I would not buy anybody's signature guitar, which I guess is ironic as a hardcore Les Paul player, but I broke that rule for this just because this guitar it's very Ibanez and it's very Steve Vai, and I have never really been the biggest Steve Vai fan in the sense that I like a lot of his music, but I'm sure haven't heard a lot of his catalog probably. But as I started looking at these guitars, sort of the design of them and everything, it actually got me looking more into his music just in the past week when I was waiting for this thing to show up. And even like some interviews and like long form streams or podcasts, whatever you want to call it, but just sort of more of his material. And I think the guy is certifiably a genius in a lot of respects, both musically and otherwise. And I think that it's probably worth breaking my never buying a signature model for this, particularly at this price point, is pretty shocking. This guitar has a maple neck that you can see. The body is Marantz, which I guess I'll see what that sounds like. I've listened to demos of this before. The fingerboard, as with a lot of Ibanez, is Jatoba, and this has the Vine of Life, or whatever it's called. Essentially this really cool looking sort of continuous vine of leaves inlay that, if you really pay attention to it, it seems like, at least from fret 15 and down, there's more going on the 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 12. So it's kind of a cool inlay pattern. Just the ones in between there just have like a single leaf. But this is the budget version, and it still has that really nice visual appointment. And then of course it's got this handle, which actually, this guitar feels kind of heavy when you hold it by the handle. I think it's probably just a weird balance point. This is not actually a super light guitar, as I was kind of expecting. It seems kind of average. And then you've got this grip, which seems to encourage like wailing on it. So, and I'll probably end up wailing on this guitar and doing a lot of whammy stuff that I have been unable to do in the past couple of years because I haven't had one. So yeah, this seems like a very cool guitar for this price, especially. I mean, the full-blown JEM I think is like $1,800 or around there, which is not even crazy expensive, probably considering the quality. And this is like, I don't even know how it's accomplished for this price. The thing is, I'm going to have to give this a string change and like a really thorough setup because it's got a full floating bridge. So I'm not going to probably be able to play it tonight, at least very much, aside from just setting it up. But in the next couple of days, I'm going to put this through its paces. I've always thought these guitars were kind of fascinating, or at least like the regular JEM, but I never really was enough of a fan. A, didn't have enough money, and B, was never enough of a fan to go out and get a full-blown JEM. So the JEM Jr. to me is really appealing. I guess I'll give you the quick first impressions just as having just gotten it out of the box. The fret ends, I would probably say, are average. I would say good to average. There are no sharp edges here, which is good. This is basically just a white paint, poly-coated, just sort of flat white color. I would say that there's some like paint pooling like on the inside of this sort of grip and on the inside maybe of these recessed screws for the neck joint there. I mean, it's going to be such a small amount that I don't know if you can even see it on camera. But, you know, coming from a guy that mainly plays Gibsons, most people would criticize the hell out of a Gibson for having something like that. Granted, this is like a third of the price on a good day. Basically, any guitar that you buy, whether it's $500, $1,000, $1,500, $2,000, they're all going to have some flaw somewhere. So I'm definitely not faulting this one for the price, for having some like paint pooling on the inside of a screw hole. That seems kind of silly, but I have to point out any imperfections that I see on this. Having just unboxed it, everything seems basically tight except for this bottom strap peg, but it did just transport. We've had some crazy weather here. One of the things that I usually try to grab and spin is the jack plate nut when a guitar has just been transported to make sure that it's tight. And this one is basically sticking like this. So I don't know if you can really tell that, but I guess you're gonna plug it in like this at an angle, which is actually a good design because it already aims towards your strap if you had like a straight plug. Could be weird if you actually have a 90-degree plug like I do, so I might have to be careful what cable I use. But that's an ergonomic feature because most plugs are straight. Most cables have a straight plug, I should say. But the actual nut on here, what I was getting at, the actual nut on this jack is not a hex nut, it's just a circle. And I don't know if you can really see that, but it's just like a smooth circle. So hopefully that's some sort of design that just doesn't come loose and I don't have to worry about it. Now, I don't want to talk about this guitar too much since I haven't even played it, but I guess that'll be for another video. Anyway, just to shorten this up a little bit, this has been the unboxing of my very first Ibanez that I have ever had. Pretty solid little guitar to have, just to have something with a trem for when I need it. Although it is a signature, this is a really cool guitar. I mean, it's kind of like, it's somewhere between like shred and about as elegant as you can be for being super shred. Also, the neck to me, like, almost feels actually raw. I mean, most of the time when you have a satin like raw finish neck, it has like a ton of satin polyurethane on it, and it doesn't actually feel like wood, but this really feels like whatever finishes on this neck is really, really, truly thin. I mean, it really feels like a raw neck. So, there you have it, my first Ibanez, the JEM Jr. At some point I will be doing some playing with this guitar and not just unboxing it and talking about it. If you like this video, don't forget to share it and subscribe, turn on notifications, and I will see you guys next time.